I'm a 27-year-old male with a twin sister. Growing up, my twin sister and I experienced very different treatment from our parents. My parents genuinely seemed convinced for some reason that my sister was destined for greatness, while I was the so-called black sheep. Just because I was more interested in playing sports than studying. They constantly compared us, which was demoralizing and bruised. Growing up, I felt pretty low about myself for a long time. When I was a kid, my sister always had these huge, fancy parties on our birthdays, and I felt like I was just there, not really noticed. She'd have sleepovers with her pals, giggling and having fun, and I was sometimes pulled into playing tea party games I didn't really want to. But you know what? Secretly, I kind of enjoyed those tea parties too. It felt like my grandma was the only one who really cared about me and my family. Whenever she visited, she made sure to bring my favorite chocolates, and sometimes even gave me some money to spoil myself. But things started changing. The attention my twin sister got turned into a sort of emotional bullying towards me. My parents started making fun of my grades and putting down my dreams. It felt as though no matter how much I tried, I could never meet their expectations. Although I was good at sports, they barred me from participating in extracurricular activities as they wanted me to concentrate only on studies, just like my sister. It was frustrating, and I felt helpless as a child. I remember this one incident where I had a particularly heated argument with my parents about my future. When I started applying for college because they didn't want to pay for me while they had set aside money for our college funds, they wanted to use most of the funds on my sister's education. They believed her decision to attend an expensive school would help her excel better. They wanted me to attend a community college instead of a decent college of my choice. My grades were actually pretty good, but my parents didn't seem to want to invest much in me. When my grandmother learned about this, it led to a big fight between her and my parents. She even warned my mom that she'd be cut out of her will if they didn't agree to send me to a good college, just like they did for my sister. After a few days of arguing, they finally gave in. I will always be thankful to my grandmother because of this. It was when I went away to college that I first experienced what freedom felt like for the first time. No one was watching over my shoulders. No one was comparing my grades, and no one was trying to compete with me. I met people and formed friendships with like-minded individuals. Despite the emotional and physical scars I had sustained over the years due to my family, I concentrated on putting it all behind me and enjoying this college experience as much as I could. During this time, I discovered my knack for logo and graphic design. I decided to start learning Photoshop and Adobe Illustrator by watching YouTube videos so I could make some side money. I then reached out to local businesses in my area to see if they needed a logo designer and slowly started building a portfolio of my work. Throughout college, I maintained this side hustle and never asked for a penny from my parents. When I graduated from college, instead of getting a corporate job, I realized I could turn my side hustle into a legitimate business, as I already had clients who were ready to keep me on retainers. After years of being loyal to them, I made the decision to move into an apartment with roommates, and life was looking up. Meanwhile, my sister was excelling and getting ready for higher studies in biology, at least according to what my parents told me. Our contact dwindled over the years, especially after we went to different colleges. Over the years, my parents never really made any effort to contact me, hence I stopped trying as well. After a while, I was financially independent, now and had been going to therapy for years. So I have started to heal from my childhood wounds slowly. As a graphic designer, I know the custom of reviews are super important. Usually I ask my clients if they like my work to write a review on Google or Facebook, so that it helps more people find out about my business. Recently, one of my high-end clients was really happy with my work, so he posted a long message on Facebook, appreciating my professionalism and work ethic. I was really surprised by this sweet gesture, and I started getting messages from strangers who are interested in my work. His post was seen by my entire family and close friends as he had tagged me, so some of them began leaving comments under the posts, congratulating me for doing well. I thought things were finally looking up for me, but that's when everything took a turn for the worse. Suddenly, my parents called me out of nowhere last week, requesting a meeting with me. All these years, they had never shown any interest in my life or even visited me in college, so I was pretty taken aback. I pondered over it for days and even talked with my therapist regarding this. I imagine maybe they had realized the abuse I'd gone through as a child and wanted to offer an apology after all these years. I decided to meet them over lunch in a public place, just in case things didn't go well, and I needed a quick exit. On the day I met them, my father immediately walked in to hug me, but my mother, as usual, maintained her distance and gave a quick smile. We sat down, gave our orders, and exchanged some small talk. I was already feeling anxious and wanted them to just get to the point, so I asked why they reached out to me, suddenly, after all these years. It was then that my mother dropped a bombshell. My sister, the golden child of the family, was 2 months pregnant, and they had just found out. The news caught me off guard, and I almost choked on my cocktail. Turns out my sister had a one-night fling with a guy at a party, and now she was expecting a baby. She had only just found out. And because she had never asked for his name, she could not locate the father. As a result, she planned to move back in with our parents who would support her in taking care of the baby, while she attempted to continue her studies from home. The reason my parents contacted me, as they put it, was because they wanted my help financially. They claimed I would soon be an uncle, and they expected me to pitch in to caring for my sister's upcoming child. My face burned with anger as their words sank in. After a lifetime of feeling like an afterthought, they only reached out to me for my assistance because of my pregnant sister. I immediately signaled the server requesting the bill, paid it, and abruptly left the restaurant. My mother chased after me, urging me to be a good son and insisting the baby needed a good role model. I reached home and turned off my phone as I kept getting a lot of calls and messages from my parents. After a night's sleep, when I finally switched my phone back on the next day, I found not only missed calls and messages from my mother, but also a lengthy text from my sister. In her message, she made demands, insisting that I take care of her child and be a responsible uncle. She told me how I was doing well in my life and earning good money now, so I shouldn't be selfish, and could afford to send her a couple of $100s every month to help her take care of the baby. I didn't even bother to reply to her. I cut her call. I just couldn't sleep that night and stayed up in bed for hours, wide awake as this whole situation kept bothering me. The condescending tone of my parents, their abuses over the years, and my sister's entitlement were all just too much, and I felt like I couldn't take it anymore. This is when I decided to make a Facebook post from my personal ID regarding my situation. I thought only my family and close friends on Facebook would read this, and I just wanted the truth to be out. I wrote down everything right down to how unworthy my parents had made me feel over the years and had only reached out when they needed financial assistance. After I posted it, I shut down my laptop and went to sleep. When I woke up the following day, I discovered that the post had gone viral in a matter of hours. There were people from my friend list, relatives, and even complete strangers who had commented their support under my posts, and some had even shared it. It seemed like a lot of people understood the abuse, and the message behind the post resonated with them. There were hundreds of comments from people sharing their own similar stories about family abuses, which was heartbreaking to read. My parents must have received angry calls from some of my relatives because my mother called me quite upset and asked me to delete the post immediately. She explained how she had always thought I wouldn't amount to anything and had doubted my career success, which is why she hadn't reached out to me earlier. However, after seeing the positive review from my client, she realized my business was thriving, and that's when she got in touch to ask for help regarding my sister. She kept insisting on how important it is for us to protect the family's reputation. My dad reacted a bit differently. He sent an apology via text but also wanted me to remove the post so that we could handle the situation privately and prevent any further damage to the family's reputation. My parents seemed to have been caught off guard by this sudden public revelation of our dysfunctional family dynamics. Throughout my life, my family consistently favored my sister and convinced me that I could never achieve success in my career. However, after I wrote the post on Facebook calling them out, they suddenly wanted to play family with me despite my parents' multiple pleas to delete the posts. I chose to leave the post as it was to prove them all wrong, so now I can have the last laugh. This decision has now caused a rift within the family. While my grandmother and some other family members have reached out to me and openly provided their support, a few others, especially from my dad's side, are urging me to keep the family matters within the family. So I stay for calling out my parents on Facebook, refusing to take the post down, and finally getting the last laugh after all these years. Update 1. It's been a whirlwind of a week since I last shared my story, and the support and encouragement I have received from everyone has been overwhelming. It's heartening to know that I'm not alone during this time. We come from a close-knit neighborhood, so now everybody knows our business. After I posted on Facebook, and it seems that my post has ignited conversations within our social circle. My parents have received criticism, not only from relatives, but also from their close friends and neighbors, who were previously unaware of the extent of favoritism and emotional abuse. I found out from my relatives the reason why my family reached out to me out of the blue. You see, my parents are currently enjoying their retirement, and over the years they have used up most of their savings to clear their debts and explore the world. My sister has never had a job as my parents wanted her to concentrate only on studies, which meant she didn't have any savings. Now with the arrival of the baby, they realized they needed financial support when they came across the Facebook review that my client had written and tagged me. They realized that my business was actually doing good, and I was earning more than they had imagined, and they were shocked that I had proved them all wrong and established myself. But instead of wishing me well, they saw this as an opportunity to ask for financial help. However, when I declined and decided to publicly address the issue on Facebook, they had no alternative but to back down. My sister had called me a few days ago after I wrote the post, and as I had expected, she sounded beyond enraged. Apparently, our parents are now refusing to take care of her and the baby financially, as they have realized not to coddle her any longer and want her to be responsible for her own actions. They are okay with my sister moving in as long as she drops her plans for higher studies for now and starts looking for a job with her biology degree. They also want her to contact the father through prenatal paternity testing so she can inform him about the pregnancy. After hearing what my parents had to say, my sister, who had never been asked previously to take any kind of responsibility, her entire life was stumped. She thought she could call and direct her anger out on me, but this time I didn't keep quiet and decided to stand up for myself. I told her that she wasn't entitled to my hard-earned money just because she got pregnant from a one-night stand. I let her know that her lack of maturity wasn't really my problem. While I might have come across as harsh, I believe it marked a turning point in our conversation, making my sister realize she could no longer bully me. I ended the call by feeling a sense of satisfaction for speaking my mind. I then went ahead and sent a group text to my parents and sister, letting them know that I expected a formal apology for the abuse I had suffered. I wanted them to acknowledge the pain of mistreatment I had endured through all those years. The text was clear, stating that this apology was not a mere request. It was a requirement, a necessary step towards reconciliation. I emphasized that I had reached a point where I couldn't continue down the same path. The emotional toll of their actions was too heavy to bear any longer. If they refused to take this step, if they remained unwilling to admit their wrongdoings, it might be the end of the road for our relationship. Now I'm going to wait and see how they react. The ball is in their court, and I hope that they make the right decision. Update 2, although it's been a month now, I still continue to receive overwhelming support and responses from strangers every day. I feel much lighter since I spoke my truth and no longer have to worry about hiding my past from the world. First, I want to let everyone know that I am perfectly safe and not at all depressed, as many seem to have assumed in the comments. What happened with my parents did affect me initially, but I have since learned to not hold it against them for my own mental well-being. As my therapist explained, I can't really control other people's actions. The only thing that I can control is my own emotions. Since my ultimatum, my parents have tried reaching out to me, alternating between apologies and attempts to downplay the situation. They are still struggling to come to terms with the public exposure of our family problems, and it's clear that their own reputation is of more concern to them than understanding my feelings. After some contemplation, I made the decision to remove the Facebook post from my page, even though I had planned to keep it up forever. I realized that the post had accomplished precisely what I had hoped for, a public declaration calling out my parents for their years of abuse. My mother continues to believe that I could have done better and pointed these things out years earlier to them instead of letting it build up for so long and humiliating them publicly. This really frustrates me because as a teenager, I had always tried to talk to them about the situation, but they never listened to me. I have told her that if she feels that it was my fault for how she treated me, then I would like to take some space from her, as I didn't want this to affect my mental well-being anymore. As for my sister, she took a while, but eventually she surprised me with an apology. I don't know if it's the pregnancy hormones or a newfound realization that prompted her to reach out. In the lengthy text, she expressed that she could finally grasp the hardships I had to endure for being treated differently all those years, with all parents no longer providing financial support, and reminding her every day to take responsibility for her choices. She was experiencing the pressures I had felt growing up. She went on to explain that when she initially found out she was pregnant, it had stirred fear in her heart. The reality of having to handle this on her own hit her hard, and she realized she had made mistakes. Financial constraints loomed, and she acknowledged that she had wrongly directed her anger at me. She had learned from our parents that I was doing well in my career, and this made her think that she could ask me to contribute. But when I refused, it finally dawned on her that she would have to take responsibility for her own life. She told me that she was trying her best to find a job as she wanted to be a better example to her child. She apologized for asking me for money and assured me that she wouldn't be doing that ever again. She said that she wanted me to be a part of her baby's life as a positive male role model. Although I was a bit hesitant, I accepted the apology and we met over lunch. I was also happy to hear that she was looking for a job, and I promised to help her out with her resume and cover letter. Since we started talking, my sister has been suggesting that we should talk to our parents about what I went through so they can understand my perspective better. But I don't think I'm ready yet to have a conversation with them. I finally pay the long overdue visit to my grandmother this weekend. She's been my rock, my pillar of support, always standing by my side through all these years. It was high time I expressed my heartfelt thanks for everything she has done for me. When I visited her, the nostalgia of my childhood rushed back. The familiar scent of her home-cooked meals, the creaky wooden floors, and the warm smile on her face were everything that I loved about her. We spent the entire afternoon talking about our lives, dreams, family. She told me that she was proud of me for standing up to my parents after all these years. She let me know that she had always pointed out my parents' unfair treatment towards me, but they had never acknowledged it. I told her that regardless of what my parents had put me through, I didn't blame her, and I wanted her to know that her kindness towards me had profoundly shaped my life. Now, coming to my graphic design business, which a lot of you have been curious about, it is doing exceptionally well, just as I had expected. Ever since my high-end client left a positive view of my work, my inbox has been flooded with inquiries. The satisfaction of knowing that clients appreciate my work is immeasurable. It's not just about the growth of my business, but the validation that I'm on the right path. Each new inquiry feels like a step closer to my goals, and it ignites a sense of passion and motivation to keep pushing forward. It's truly thrilling to see that all the efforts and hard work I've poured into this are finally paying off. Overall, I would say that this whole experience has been tough, but also incredibly liberating. For now, I plan on focusing on my work, personal growth, and spending my time with supportive friends and family members only. Although the path to healing is a long one, and I don't know where it will lead. I am thankful for the outpouring of support and understanding I have received here from Reddit community. While I have taken small steps towards mending relationships with my family, I am committed to prioritizing my own well-being first and ensuring that I'm not subject to emotional abuse or favoritism any longer. I will continue to share updates if there is anything interesting. Update. 3 things have really turned out well, and a lot has changed in my life in the past 6 months. One of the most beautiful and life-changing experiences has been meeting my niece. My sister, who was pregnant, had given birth to the most adorable baby girl. She asked me to be her godfather, and I couldn't feel more honored by this special role. It's a new chapter in our family's story, and I'm looking forward to watching this little one grow up. In the past few months, my parents have put in sincere efforts to mend our relationship. It turns out that my grandmother and other relatives had a heart-to-heart talk with them, and it seems to have made a difference. My mother, in particular, has been trying hard to connect with me on a deeper level. She admitted to feeling both embarrassed and regretful that she couldn't be a better parent to me. Her genuine apology moved me to tears, because these were the words I had longed to hear for so many years. I couldn't help but think about how different things might have been if she had spoken to me with these words during my upbringing, potentially sparing me years of suffering and pain. My dad, on the other hand, has suggested teaching me golf, emphasizing how learning the sport could potentially help me attract more high-end clients. Golf has turned out to be more challenging than I initially anticipated, and it certainly requires some dedicated practice to master. Nevertheless, I enjoy practicing with my dad every weekend and steadily improving with each session. My relationship with my sister has also evolved significantly over time. We now regularly meet for Saturday morning breakfast where we catch up to each other's lives. We also found out the father of her child and reaching out to him. Both of them agreed on a court-signed document to co-parent the child together. I have met the guy and he seems like a genuine fellow. Since becoming a mother, my sister has been working hard to change herself. She seems to have realized the importance of understanding and empathy, something that was long overdue. Moreover, she has secured a work-from-home opportunity that suits her well. She is diligently saving money to move out of our parents' house, and it's heartening to see her make positive strides in her life to help repair the long-standing resentments in our family and unspoken feelings. We have all planned to go for family therapy soon. It hasn't been an easy process, and at times our conversations seem to get emotionally charged. Hence, going for therapy will allow us to have more honest conversations professionally. I've seen considerable growth in my graphic design business thanks to the skills I have developed over the years. I absolutely love my job, and I am grateful for my career. I'm glad I found my true calling early in life, and there's nothing I find more satisfying than working on my designs and assisting my clients. I have managed to expand my client base to an international level after multiple positive reviews from my existing customer base. If everything goes well, I plan on hosting free workshops to help college students and aspiring graphic designers with my industry knowledge. I remember the struggles I faced when I was new to this field and no one to guide me. So I'm hoping my workshops can make a difference for these folks. I'm excited about the future and the opportunities it holds for both my career and my life. Life is good for me now, and I couldn't be more grateful for the love and support I received from everyone these past couple of months. I hope this can be my last update regarding this situation.